Okay, this video is for adding V-type weather stripping to a door. Here's the product. I happen to have all this lying around. I'm not quite sure where I got it. But my idea is to add weather stripping to a door frame. The original intention was that I want to have a room that I air condition, and I don't want to lose all the cold air, so I'm going to add the weather stripping to the door, even though it's an interior door. But you can add this to an interior door or an exterior door. It also helps with other issues. It says here, for example, helps stop air infiltration, dust, sound, and insects. So aside from air conditioning, in the winter, for example, when the wind is blowing, it'll blow across one side of your house. It tries to blow air in one side, and then it will push air in your house out the other side of your house on the low pressure side. And if you have your doors in your house closed, for example, you won't get as much air infiltration as you would if the doors were open, because there's going to be some infiltration at the windows. So, but anyway, the idea here is very general, adding the V-type weather strip. Okay, I'm going to, in this case, add it to this door right here. And I'm just going to follow these instructions. Okay, the first step is to clean this surface with some alcohol, okay, just to get off any gunk. And then I'm going to, number one, measure off the length of this strip. Then I'm going to fold it in half. And I'll remove the backing and apply. So what I'll do is I'll use the pause and I'll show you the different steps. Okay, the first step, I measured it out, I folded it in half. Now, it will fold, it wants to fold in one particular direction. Okay, the idea is to keep the tape on the outside. You're going to peel it off. And it will, when you fold it, it'll come back to about a 90-degree angle. That's called the V, okay? As it gets worn down over the years, it might get compressed to a smaller angle, but it normally starts off around 90 degrees, okay? So I've got it compressed. Now I'm going to apply it in the doorway, and the way that I'm going to apply it is like this. This is the stop of the door. Actually, I'm going to apply it on the side that the door is swinging on. In this case, let me just make that clear. The door is coming from this side. So I need to, the idea is that it's going to go in like this, okay? The door is going to be closing against that, and it's going to form the V, okay? I'm going to take off that strip. I'm going to add this. I'll start at the top. I'll add the strip in. Okay, and I'll show you how I've done after I've added it on. Okay, I'm halfway there. I remove the paper backing as I go along. So you'll see that I have applied the weather strip to the top half of the door frame now. And it's sticking out at about 90 degrees so that when the door comes to close, it's going to push back and close the V. Okay, I've got a latch coming up. That won't really present a problem at all because the way this is applied does not interfere at all with the operation of the latch. Okay, so I'll just complete this. Okay, I've added the weather strip all the way down to the bottom now. Okay, this side is the long side, and this is the side where you probably have a bigger gap. On the hinge side, there won't be so much of a gap. Okay, but the same procedure I'm going to do along the top edge also. Okay, and I'm going to actually do the other edge too, so, but I'm going to measure it off and add on at the top, and then I'll show you. Okay, I just added this strip across the top. I went all the way from that edge. And I went in here. I butted the two, which is to say I did not overlap them because I don't want the one weather strip to interfere with the operation of the other one. I don't want one to hold the other one back or anything. I just want them to work. I don't think it's possible to get a perfect seal on the corner of the door because when the two close, you can cut them at a miter, but it still doesn't solve the problem right in the corner. So I'm just doing it this way. Now I'm going to add one along the hinge side. I'm going to start using the butting approach here, so I won't interfere with the top one. And I'll run down to the bottom, and you'll see that on the hinge side, I need to rotate it 90 degrees because the door is coming in from a different direction. It's actually coming in as it closes from this direction, not from that direction, like on the other side. Okay? So I'm going to actually adhere it to this door stop rather than the door jam. Okay, and I'll show you how that comes out. Okay, I'm starting. I always like to start applying it at the top and then just work my way down. I find it easier. You can see here I'm using the butting technique in the corner. And you can see that the tape is adhering to the door jamb. Now when the door closes here, it's going to come in and hit the V gap that way. If you try applying this onto the jamb, you realize that the V is not going to work properly. Okay? So I'm just going to pull off the back and I'm just going to work this all the way down to the bottom. Okay? Okay, you can see this piece now. It goes right down, in this case, to the stops on the threshold piece. Okay, as it gets used, the V will get pressed or more into the strip. I'm just rubbing my fingers along it to work out any bubbles in the adhesive. I want the adhesive to adhere. Okay. Now, the next issue would be on the bottom of the door. And you could also run a strip of this under the bottom of the door in such a way that it rubs up against this threshold piece, okay? But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a different technique on the bottom of the door. I actually have this tape, okay, which is a dark color. And I'm going to fold the tape in thirds, and I'm going to fold it over on itself to form a little piece that flaps down so that it rides over the floor, but when you close it, it pushes up against the threshold piece, and it will form the same type of a seal over this threshold piece. I could also apply a weather stripping piece actually to the underside of the door, and it would work in the same manner. But I'm just going to try this different technique because it only uses this duct tape, okay? I'll show you when I have that formed. Okay, here I have folded the tape over on itself, leaving about a ½ inch or a little less of adhesive sticking, and I'm going to stick that onto the door to form a door sweep. Okay, I attached it so that it doesn't hit the floor, it just comes close to the floor on the one side, but as the door is closed, it will fold up on the threshold and it will seal the bottom. So right now, I've got the seal on the other sides. On the top, you can kind of see it there. So this is close to airtight all the way around. Okay, and that's the end here. That just shows you an example of adding the weather stripping. Now this will make this door better for sound, and also I actually added this on the bottom originally thinking that I would, if someone had COVID, that their room would be isolated from the other ones, and then I got the idea of adding that V strip because I hid some of it on the other other sides and realize now that this kind of makes the room airtight, which is good because in the summer or the winter, it'll either keep the house cooler or warmer by making the rooms air sealed. Okay, that's all.